Good early afternoon on Monday, and as will be the regular practice in the course on no later than this time, and most weeks I try to get a video put together where we look at what went on last week in our discussions and our readings and resources, and then take a look ahead at what to expect in the coming week. And then maybe a little review of some of the things that I saw, some of the things that I think were reflected in the majority of discussion and assignments as they come, and a little bit about the mechanics. These will happen every week, and they do contain, I believe, a lot of helpful information. And in many cases, people tend to gloss right over them or not even watch. And occasionally you're going to miss some instructions, miss some changes to the class, something like that. Really, it's important to watch. I'm not trying to become a video star or anything like that. I'm trying to do the best job I can with the media that we have and in the format of online education. I think this is an effective tool for communication. At least it has been for me in the past, and we're going to continue to use it. Okay, with that being said, thank you to everybody for your participation in week one. Everyone participated in the discussion, which is great. It's a great start. Surprisingly, and you may have experienced this, but surprisingly, it doesn't always happen. And so I am off to an encouraging feeling about this class and your eagerness to participate and to learn. And the discussion was primarily centered around the idea of a couple of the introductory principles we talk about. And those are, the purpose of an organization. Why have organizations evolved? Why have they developed and evolved? What do they intend to do? Why do they exist? And began to touch a little bit on form and behavior, and also the idea of a very basic human need, a human drive, if you will, of social affiliation, the way people come together in order to better themselves, better the group, seek better conditions for many, many reasons. But this idea of social affiliation is very important, and it's something to keep in mind as we go through the rest of the class. As we work into week two, you'll see it shifts and becomes a little bit more specific, when in week two we look at how organizations are structured. It is a way of taking a couple of basic structural models, the organic and the mechanistic, and then dissecting them a little bit and looking at how those two models function, look at variations off them, and look how people behave within those functions. And I think you'll find it very interesting. Many of you will be able to find, if not your current organization depicted here, some that you have been part of in the past or expect to be part of in the future. And I think you want to keep that personal experience right up front, because it will help you in understanding the theory and the practice behind some of the things that you'll be learning. Now, I do want to take a look at the discussion in particular for week one, and tell you some reactions that I had and some things I think we can do with it. The discussion was very good. It was very, very, as I said, very much well attended. Everyone participated, which is great. Everybody expressed themselves in a good, solid way and had opinions out there. But if there's one overriding thing I would really like to mention, and maybe ask you to consider as you go into future discussions, I did sense a feeling that when most of us start talking about organizations, we immediately went into the business sense of a profit-making business at some level, large, small, in between. And that's where our attention began to focus. And after all, we're a business school, right? We're in business courses. This is a management course in a business degree program. But what we really need to do is to understand that concepts of organization go way beyond business. They are universal. And I say that without fear. Okay, they're universal. It's not just businesses that are organizations. Not-for-profits are organizations. Your family is an organization. Your school this class is an organization. Anything you belong to, your clubs that you belong to, churches and religious organizations, those are all organizations. Okay? The economy is an organization. Do you see where I'm going? I want people to think expansively about all the possibilities, all the meanings of a word. Also, another thing we want to look at is when we see something such as social affiliation, treat it as a concept. Now, we can manipulate the concept of social affiliation to create better social affiliations. They're not exactly the same thing, although they're the same words. Okay? So, culture is another one. Culture is always present. How can we develop a culture? Definitely we'll learn more about that in the weeks to come. But a culture is present at all times. It develops organically to relate it to a concept that will work here. So what I'm asking everybody to do is, the old keep an open mind, keep a broad mind, keep looking for these multiple meanings in the terms that we're going to use. It will help you understand the whole picture, which is something that we want to do. So therefore, I'm going to ask you to do some couple of things practically. Now, most people didn't do it, but I see a couple people did, and I'm just going to ask a very simple thing right now in order to accomplish what I just talked about. Sometimes we have a tendency when maybe drafting a response to a question or thinking about it and making our notes, we write the question down and then take our notes and draft our response, and there we go, and we've answered the question. Then I notice a lot of people still do this every class, every term, and then they go ahead and they post the question as part of their answer in the discussion board or as part of their paper. I'm going to ask you not to do that. Go ahead and use it as a tool to develop your draft, but don't post the question as part of your response. Now, I'm not just saying this because I'm lazy and I don't want to read the question. I know what the question is. Good chance I probably wrote it. No, that's not the reason at all. The fact that that question is right there in front of your nose when you're writing that discussion response, it tends to limit your thinking to the wording of that question only. And we don't want that to happen. We want to make sure that that question is guiding our thinking, but letting us think expansively. When you have that question right there as part of your answer, guess what you answered? That question and no more. Yet, this is the kind of topic, organizational design, organizational theory, organizational behavior, that almost demands we go beyond the question as phrased. So please, just don't use that practice. It's going to limit your thinking, and that's something we want to work against, okay? That's the practical thing that I think we can do for this week. When I look at the writing, what we did, it may come up in the writing too. I haven't graded the papers, obviously, yet. The same thing there, but the same thing goes for writing. And in the future, I'm going to be able to take a look at what we've done this week and maybe next week and offer you some tips on better ways to write papers and write opinions and write essays in the ways that will help you use them in future business communications, academic communications, in a way that can benefit you. So without taking up further time, thank you everyone for your good participation this week. I'm looking forward to more of it. And if you do have any questions, please, please, please ask them, and ask them early, because we can help you solve a problem. Thanks again. Have a good day. Bye.